Chosen one. There is a quiet place you have been standing in, even if you did not have language for it. Not forward, not backward, but held between breaths. You may have wondered why movement felt restrained, why every impulse to rush dissolved before it became action. This was not hesitation, it was containment, a sacred pause where something within you was being protected from premature exposure. While others pushed and strained, you were asked to remain. And what is aligning around you cannot be rushed without being damaged. There are seasons when life speaks loudly, and then there are seasons when it barely whispers. This is one of those quieter chapters. If you listen closely, you may notice that nothing is actually absent. Guidance is still present. Support is still near. Provision is still forming. It simply isn't arriving through noise. Many people mistake silence for abandonment, but silence is often the clearest sign of careful attention. God does not shout over what is still forming. He shelters it. You may have felt a strange tension living in your body. On the surface, things look calm, even uneventful. Inside, however, there has been movement, a slow rearranging of priorities, values, and desires. What once excited you no longer holds the same weight. What once frightened you now feels manageable. This inner shift is not accidental. It is evidence of maturity taking root below the surface where no one else can applaud it. I want to speak gently here, because I recognize this terrain. There were seasons in my own life when I questioned whether staying was an act of faith or simply fear dressed up as patience. I watched others surge ahead, announce milestones, and celebrate visible wins, while my own path seemed to narrow instead of expand. What I learned slowly and often painfully is that not every delay is meant to be escaped. Some are meant to be inhabited. God works most carefully with those who are learning to listen rather than demand. The instinct to move, to prove, to accelerate is very human, but alignment requires something different. It asks for restraint. It asks for trust when there is no applause and no immediate evidence. This is where faith deepens, not because you are certain of outcomes, but because you are willing to remain present without them. If you feel different lately, more inward, less interested in explaining yourself, that is not isolation as punishment. It is refinement. There are conversations you no longer need to have. There are rooms you no longer need to enter. This narrowing is not loss. It is focus. God often reduces the noise around a person before increasing the weight they are able to carry. You may have noticed that the desire to chase has faded. Opportunities that once felt urgent now feel optional. This is not complacency, it is discernment. When something real is being prepared, urgency gives way to steadiness. You are learning how to stand without gripping, how to wait without collapsing inward. That kind of posture is rare, and it is formed over time. I know how uncomfortable it can be to remain in place while the world rewards motion. Stillness can feel like invisibility, yet invisibility is sometimes mercy. Seeds do not announce themselves while they are breaking open underground. They stay where they are because leaving too early would end the process altogether. God honors what is willing to grow in hidden conditions. There is also something important happening beyond you. While you hold your position, other pieces are being rearranged. People are being delayed or redirected. Systems are shifting quietly. Timelines are adjusting without your involvement. You are not responsible for managing what you cannot yet see. Your role right now is simpler and far more difficult. Stay rooted. Stay receptive. Stay honest with what is actually happening inside you. There is a subtle strength developing in you right now, the kind that does not announce itself. It shows up in how you respond, instead of react, in how you pause before speaking, in how you no longer feel the need to convince anyone of what you carry. This strength was not learned in moments of certainty, but in long stretches of not knowing. It was formed on ordinary days through small choices to remain honest, to rest when pride wanted to push, to tell the truth to yourself even when no one was asking. Anointed One. If you ever question whether this quiet obedience matters, remember that depth is never rushed. The most stable foundations are laid slowly, layer by layer, out of sight. What you are becoming now will eventually sustain what is coming later. And when that season arrives, you will recognize it not by urgency, but by peace. Chosen One. This is not a test of endurance. It is a season of calibration. You are being aligned with something that requires precision, not speed. When the moment comes to move, it will feel clear rather than frantic. You will not need to force the door. It will open with recognition, not resistance. God is not preparing you to run. He is preparing you to arrive. If there is any reassurance to take with you from this moment, let it be this. Nothing about your stillness is wasted. Nothing about your waiting is overlooked. Heaven is not stalled. It is intentional. And as you remain where you are, something unseen is being secured in your favor, gently and deliberately. There comes a moment when waiting stops feeling neutral and starts feeling personal. Not dramatic, not loud, but quietly heavy. You wake up and sense that something should have shifted by now, yet nothing obvious has changed. This is often the point where doubt tries to disguise itself as practicality. It asks whether you misheard, whether you stayed too long, whether faith quietly turned into avoidance. I want to meet you honestly in this place, because this is where many people abandon alignment too early. Waiting when misunderstood can feel like standing still in a world that rewards motion. But there is a difference between stagnation and instruction. One drains you, the other steadies you. You can feel the difference in your body. Stagnation tightens, frustrates, and breeds resentment. Instruction, even when uncomfortable, carries a strange sense of containment. You may not feel excited, but you feel held. That is not accidental. God does not use waiting as punishment. He uses it as preparation. There are forms of clarity that only arrive when external noise is reduced. When the path ahead is obvious, we tend to rely on sight. When it is not, we are forced to rely on discernment. This is where trust becomes less theoretical and more embodied. You learn how to stay present without answers, how to keep your heart open without guarantees. I remember seasons when I mistook delay for rejection. I assumed that if nothing was happening outwardly, something must be wrong inwardly. But over time, I noticed subtle changes. My reaction softened, my sense of urgency faded. I became less interested in proving and more interested in understanding. Those shifts did not come from success. They came from stillness. That is often how God works with those He is preparing to carry more than just results. He prepares their nervous system, not just their circumstances. You may have noticed that your social world has shifted. Conversations feel thinner. Certain relationships no longer nourish you, even though nothing explicitly ended. This can feel lonely if you interpret it as loss, but it may actually be alignment. Spiritual isolation is not always about being alone. Sometimes it is about being removed from environments that would pull you out of yourself before you are anchored deeply enough to remain whole within them. Chosen One. There is a reason your path has felt quieter than others. You are not meant to build momentum from external validation. You are learning how to move from internal authority. That kind of authority cannot be rushed into existence. It forms slowly through consistency, integrity, and the willingness to sit with discomfort rather than escape it. God often waits until a person stops asking for permission from the world before entrusting them with greater responsibility. Waiting also reveals what we truly trust. When plans stall, when timelines dissolve, when effort does not produce immediate outcome, something surfaces: control, fear, impatience, surrender. None of these are moral failures. They are information. This is why waiting is such a powerful teacher. It shows you where your faith is still conditional, and it gives you time to soften those conditions without pressure. There is a kind of hope that only emerges when there are no visible signs to cling to. It is quieter than optimism. It does not depend on circumstances improving. It rests on a sense of inner coherence and knowing that even without proof, something meaningful is unfolding. Scripture often speaks of faith formed in unseen places, not as a heroic act, but as a daily posture. God watches how you show up when no one is watching. Not to judge, but to understand what you are ready to carry. You may feel an urge to explain yourself, to justify your pace, to make your waiting understandable to others. You do not need to. Some seasons are not meant to be narrated in real time. They are meant to be lived privately. The fruit of this season will speak later without explanation. God is not in a hurry to make your process visible. He is far more concerned with making it stable. There is also a financial and practical layer quietly forming beneath this stillness. While you remain steady, resources are being repositioned. Opportunities are being filtered. Not every door that could open should. Timing is what protects provision from becoming pressure. God often waits until your inner posture can receive increase without losing balance. That preparation does not look impressive from the outside, but it is essential. Anointed One, if waiting has made you question your worth or your calling, let this be a gentle correction. Your value has never been measured by speed. Your purpose has never depended on performance. What you are learning now will allow you to move later without anxiety, to receive without guilt, to lead without striving. These are not small outcomes. As this chapter closes, I want you to notice something simple. You are still here, still listening, still open. That alone tells a story of resilience and quiet faith. You have not abandoned yourself, even when the way forward was unclear. That matters more than you realize. God honors the ones who remain present through uncertainty because they are the ones who will not collapse when clarity finally arrives. While you have been holding your position, something else has been moving quietly and deliberately beyond the range of your awareness. It has not required your effort or your management. In fact, it has depended on your stillness. This is one of the paradoxes of alignment. What is meant for you often begins to shift only when you stop trying to orchestrate it yourself. There are moments in life when the most important changes happen off-stage. No announcements, no visible signs, no confirmations you can point to. Yet conversations are happening without your presence. Decisions are being reconsidered. Paths are crossing and uncrossing in ways you could not have predicted. God does not need you to be everywhere. He needs you to be anchored where you are. You may have sensed this indirectly. A sudden delay that redirected you away from something that once felt essential. A door that closed without drama, simply losing its energy. Or an unexpected pause where momentum faded, but peace quietly increased. These are not coincidences. They are indicators that something external is being realigned to match the internal work you have already done. I want to speak carefully here because this stage can be misunderstood. It is tempting to assume that if nothing visible is happening, nothing meaningful is happening. But alignment rarely announces itself while it is forming. It reveals itself afterward when you can look back and see how precisely things were arranged. Until then, it requires trust without evidence, a kind of faith that is calm rather than urgent. Chosen one. There are people who cannot enter your life until they finish a chapter of their own. If you had met them earlier, the connection would have been incomplete or misaligned. Timing is what allows relationships to arrive without confusion or imbalance. God is not withholding connection. He is protecting it. What feels like distance now is often preparation for recognition later. The same is true for opportunities and provision. Not every opening is meant to be stepped into immediately. Some are designed to mature alongside you. If they arrive too early, they would demand more than you could sustainably give. Financial shifts in particular require internal readiness. Increase without grounding becomes pressure. Expansion without clarity becomes fragmentation. This is why divine timing matters more than speed. I have learned through seasons of my own waiting that much of what we call luck is actually alignment catching up. There were times when I wished things had happened sooner, only to realize later that earlier movement would have cost me peace, integrity, or health. God does not rush what must remain whole. He understands the weight of what He is preparing to place in your hands. You might also notice that certain struggles are quietly resolving without your intervention. Conflicts lose their intensity. Obstacles soften. People who once felt threatening no longer hold the same influence. This is not because you fought harder, but because alignment removed the need for struggle. When things are no longer meant to block you, they lose their power to do so. Anointed One. This phase teaches discernment. You are learning to recognize the difference between effort and interference, between inspired action and anxious movement, between what requires your participation and what requires your patience. This discernment will become one of your greatest strengths, especially as your influence grows. There is a biblical rhythm here, though it is rarely emphasized. Many promises unfolded, while the ones waiting for them were simply living faithfully in ordinary days. Fields were tended, responsibilities were honored. Nothing dramatic happened until suddenly it did. God often completes the unseen work before revealing the visible outcome, so that when it appears, it arrives stable and undeniable. If you are tempted to measure progress by external milestones, pause. Ask instead whether you feel more grounded than before, more honest, more at ease with uncertainty. These are signs that alignment is progressing. Heaven is not scrambling to catch up. It is moving with intention, arranging circumstances that will meet you exactly where you are not where you used to be. Chosen One, you are not missing anything meant for you. What is aligning cannot bypass you, and it cannot arrive unfinished. Your role in this season is not to search for signs, but to remain receptive. Stay present, stay steady. Trust that while you hold your position, the world around you is quietly reorganizing in your favor under the careful attention of God. This reorganization is gentle, not forceful. It respects your pace and your healing. Nothing here is meant to overwhelm you. When the moment comes to step forward, you will not need to question it. You will feel a settled knowing, a calm invitation, and the confidence to move without regret or hesitation. From the beginning, there has always been a quiet sense that your inner world ran deeper than what was visible around you. As a child, you may not have had language for it, only a feeling that you were observing life from a slightly different distance. While others moved easily into roles, groups, or expectations, you noticed patterns, moods, and undercurrents. You learned early how to be present without fully belonging, how to listen more than you spoke, how to sense what was unspoken. This difference did not always feel like a gift. There were moments when it felt isolating, when you wondered why connection seemed to require more effort, why your questions went deeper than the answers offered to you. You may have tried to shrink this part of yourself, to blend in, to move faster, so you would not feel left behind. Yet even then, something within you resisted becoming smaller. That resistance was not rebellion. It was preservation. As time passed, the contrast became clearer. You could feel when environments were misaligned, even if they looked successful from the outside. You sensed when conversations were shallow, when ambition lacked grounding, when movement was driven by fear rather than purpose. This sensitivity was not something you chose. It was something entrusted to you long before you understood its value. God often marks people early, not with clarity, but with awareness. That awareness can feel heavy in youth because it has no outlet yet. You carry insight without context, depth without direction. It can create a sense of being ahead and behind at the same time. Ahead in perception, behind in certainty. This tension is uncomfortable, but it is formative. There were likely seasons when you questioned whether something was wrong with you, why ease came later, why belonging required discernment, why your path seemed to wind inward while others expanded outward. These questions did not mean you were off course. They meant you were being shaped internally before being placed externally. I recognize this pattern because I have lived it. The quiet years where nothing obvious happened yet, everything important was being rearranged. The long stretches of learning who I was without external affirmation. Those seasons taught me how to stay with myself, how to remain honest when no one was reflecting anything back to me. That skill became invaluable later when visibility increased. Chosen one. The sense of purpose you felt early on was not imagination. It was intuition forming before instruction arrived. Purpose often announces itself as restlessness, first a feeling that ordinary answers are incomplete. God does not rush to define that purpose because premature definition can limit what is still growing. He allows the awareness to mature alongside your character. Spiritual isolation is often misunderstood. It is not always separation from people, but separation from influence. You were protected from being overly shaped by environments that could not hold your depth. This protection may have felt like loneliness, but it preserved your original orientation. You were not meant to be molded by every season you passed through. As you grew, you likely noticed that your sense of direction sharpened quietly. You became more selective, more inwardly guided. You stopped needing consensus to make decisions. This did not make you rigid. It made you anchored. Anchors are invisible from the surface, but they determine whether a vessel drifts or stays aligned. God values this kind of grounding. It allows you to move later without losing yourself. It allows you to receive more without becoming unstable. The patience that was formed in you during unseen years is what will steady you when momentum increases. Nothing about your early difference was wasted. Anointed one, your life has not unfolded late. It has unfolded deliberately. What looked like delay was often insulation. What felt like isolation was often alignment in progress. You were being positioned quietly away from pressure so that when responsibility arrived, it would not fracture you. If you look back now, you may see how carefully certain paths were withheld, how some doors never opened even when you pushed. That was not rejection. That was protection. God was guarding something in you that needed time to strengthen before being tested by exposure. As this awareness settles, allow yourself to release comparison. Your timing has never been meant to mirror anyone else's. The depth you carry required a different formation process, and that process is still unfolding gently, faithfully, under watchful care. There is nothing to correct about who you have been. There is only understanding to receive about why your journey took the shape it did. As you hold your position now, you are not returning to an old place. You are standing in a new one with greater clarity, greater steadiness, and a deeper trust in how carefully your life has been guided. This recognition is not meant to inflate you or set you apart from others. It is meant to soften you. When you understand how patiently you were formed, you stop judging your own pace. You also stop rushing others. Compassion grows naturally from this insight. You realize that everyone is in a different stage of becoming and that timing is sacred. This understanding creates humility, not superiority, and it prepares you to walk forward with grace when movement is finally invited, without force, without urgency, without fear, trusting the unfolding completely. There are moments when movement feels like courage, but is actually fear wearing the language of action. You may feel it as restlessness, as the urge to change something simply to relieve the pressure of waiting. This is the point where many people mistake motion for faith. They move, not because they're called, but because stillness has begun to expose what they would rather avoid feeling. Holding your position becomes difficult when comparison enters the room. You see others advancing, announcing progress, collecting evidence that their lives are moving forward. Meanwhile, your own path seems quiet, almost too simple to justify. This contrast can tempt you to abandon alignment in exchange for reassurance. But reassurance gained too early often becomes regret later. God does not warn to frighten, He cautions to protect. There are seasons when movement would cost more than it gives. You might gain visibility but lose clarity. You might gain speed but lose stability. What is forming in you right now requires coherence, not acceleration. Integrity is fragile when rushed, and God is careful with what He intends to last. I have learned this through painful lessons. Times when I moved ahead of inner readiness, only to spend years repairing what haste fractured. The cost was not always obvious at first. It showed up later as exhaustion, misaligned relationships, and success that felt hollow. Those experiences taught me that not every open door is an invitation, and not every opportunity is meant to be seized. Chosen. 1. This is a season where discernment matters more than bravery. True courage is not always loud. Sometimes it is the willingness to remain where you are fully present, while everything in you wants relief through change. This kind of courage builds a foundation that can carry weight without collapsing. There is also a spiritual dynamic here that deserves respect. When alignment is incomplete, movement creates friction. You feel it as resistance, confusion, or a sense of pushing uphill. This is not opposition to be overcome, it is information to be honored. God communicates as much through restraint as through momentum. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, timing is what determines whether increase becomes blessing or burden. Many people ask for expansion without considering the internal structures required to sustain it. God often delays provision, not because He withholds, but because He prepares. What arrives before you are ready can overwhelm rather than uplift. Anointed One moving now could interrupt processes you cannot see. There are negotiations still unfolding, hearts still softening, circumstances still rearranging. If you step in too early, you risk carrying responsibility that was never meant to be yours alone. Patience allows support systems to form fully, so you do not have to compensate later through overwork or sacrifice. There is also the matter of identity. When movement precedes clarity, identity becomes tied to outcomes. You start defining yourself by what you produce instead of who you are becoming. This creates instability. God is far more interested in who you are when nothing is happening than who you appear to be when everything is visible. You may feel pressure to decide to commit, to act decisively. Pressure is not guidance. Urgency is not confirmation. Alignment carries a different tone. It feels calm even when it asks for courage. It does not demand explanation. It simply settles. Staying where you are right now does not mean stagnation. It means consolidation. You are integrating lessons, healing old reactions, strengthening boundaries. These internal shifts do not trend well on the surface, but they determine everything that follows. Skipping this stage would mean carrying unresolved weight into the next season. God sees the long arc of your life, not just the immediate relief you crave. He understands what will be lost if you moved prematurely. This is why restraint can feel divinely enforced, not as punishment, but as care. What is meant to bless others through you must first be stabilized within you. If you are feeling restless, do not shame yourself. Restlessness often appears right before alignment completes. It signals that energy is building, not that you must release it immediately. Let it gather. Let it refine. God is not finished with the arrangement yet. Chosen one. The cost of moving now would not be obvious at first. It would reveal itself slowly in subtle misalignments that erode peace. Staying protects you from repairs you would otherwise have to make later. Trust that this pause is purposeful. As this chapter closes, allow yourself to release the need to prove momentum. You are not falling behind. You are being positioned carefully. When movement comes, it will not require justification. It will feel inevitable, supported, and whole. Until then, remain where you are. What is aligning cannot be rushed without being diminished, and what is meant for you deserves to arrive intact. This waiting asks you to trust a wisdom larger than impulse. It invites you to sit with discomfort without translating it into action. In doing so, you learn patience that is alive, not passive. You learn confidence that does not depend on applause. You learn how to stand steady when outcomes are unclear. These lessons become the quiet armor you will carry forward. They will protect you from rushing again when the next threshold appears, reminding you that timing is not an obstacle, but a companion that walks beside you faithfully without compromise. Strength does not always arrive as intensity. Sometimes it appears as the ability to remain unchanged while everything around you shifts. In this season, you are learning a quieter form of power, one that does not announce itself, but holds steady under pressure. It is not the strength of force. It is the strength of containment. There was a time when staying felt like weakness to you, when rest felt like retreat, and patience felt like indecision. You may have judged yourself harshly for not pushing harder, not acting faster, not proving your resolve. Yet slowly something began to settle. You noticed that your breath deepened, your reactions softened, your sense of self stopped swinging with circumstances. That is not stagnation, that is grounding. God often builds strength in ways that contradict cultural definitions. The world praises acceleration, visibility, and constant output. But heaven values coherence. It values a person who can hold clarity without performance, faith without urgency, and hope without evidence. This is the kind of strength that lasts beyond seasons. You may recognize this change in small moments, when a delay no longer triggers panic, when silence no longer feels threatening, when uncertainty no longer erodes your sense of worth. These shifts are subtle, but they are profound. They signal that your nervous system is learning to trust, not because outcomes are guaranteed, but because your inner foundation is becoming stable. I remember realizing this strength in myself only after it had already formed. It showed up when I was tested and did not collapse, when disappointment came and I did not abandon myself, when progress slowed and I did not reach for distractions. Those responses were not rehearsed. They were the result of quiet seasons that trained me to stay present. Chosen one. This steadiness is being cultivated in you now. You are becoming someone who can receive without grasping and release without fear. That balance cannot be rushed. It is earned through repetition, through choosing integrity when no one is watching, through honoring your own limits instead of overriding them. There is a humility woven into this strength. It does not need to dominate or persuade. It listens more than it speaks. It waits for clarity instead of demanding it. This humility is not self-erasure. It is alignment. It allows you to move later with precision instead of force. Anointed one, notice how your relationship with effort has changed. You still care. You still show up. But you no longer exhaust yourself trying to control outcomes. You have learned that presence is more powerful than pressure, that trust creates more movement than anxiety ever could. God is not asking you to withdraw from life. He is inviting you to inhabit it differently, to act from a centered place rather than a reactive one. This internal posture will shape every decision you make going forward. It will protect you from burnout, from misaligned commitments, from carrying weight that was never yours. This strength also allows you to be honest about your limits. You no longer confuse capacity with worth. You understand that rest is not indulgence, but maintenance. That saying no can be an act of faith. That waiting can be a form of obedience. These realizations are not obvious, but they are transformative. As this steadiness deepens, you may feel less compelled to explain yourself. Your choices make sense to you, even if they confuse others. That is a sign of internal authority taking root. God often grants clarity inwardly before it ever becomes visible outwardly. You are learning to trust that inner witness. There is also a financial dimension to this strength. When provision arrives, you will meet it with wisdom rather than impulse. You will recognize the difference between expansion and excess. You will steward increase with discernment, not fear. This maturity is forming now long before resources change. Strength in this form feels calm. It does not rush to the front. It does not compete. It remains responsive rather than reactive. This is the posture that allows blessing to arrive without destabilizing you. God prepares people for increase by first preparing their inner environment. If you feel quieter than before, less driven to announce progress, do not mistake that for decline. You are consolidating. You are integrating. You are becoming less fragmented and more whole. This wholeness is what will sustain you when movement resumes. Chosen one, you are not losing momentum. You are gaining depth. Depth creates stability, and stability supports longevity. When the next season opens, you will step into it without needing to abandon who you are. That is strength refined through patience. As this chapter settles, allow yourself to honor what has already been formed. You have learned how to stay, how to listen, how to trust without forcing. These capacities are not temporary. They are the foundation for what comes next. Carry them gently, confidently, and without apology. They are evidence that your strength is real-rooted and ready for whatever alignment invites you into next. This season has shaped you in ways that will soon become visible, not through urgency, but through ease. Not through noise, but through presence. You will recognize the moment because it will feel familiar, as if you have already practiced for it in silence. That familiarity is strength, completed alignment embodied, and trust made tangible without strain or self-betrayal. When the invitation finally arrives, it does not announce itself with urgency. It comes quietly, almost gently, as if it has been waiting for you to recognize it rather than chase it. This is how alignment reveals itself. Not as pressure, but as permission. You sense it first as ease, a subtle opening where effort used to be required. You may notice that decisions begin to feel simpler, not because life has fewer options, but because your inner compass is clearer. What once required debate now resolves itself quickly. What once pulled you in multiple directions now aligns behind a single, steady yes. This is not coincidence. It is the result of patience doing its work. God often completes alignment before movement begins. By the time doors open, the inner work has already prepared you to walk through them without confusion. This is why the transition feels natural rather than dramatic. You are not becoming someone new. You are simply stepping forward as who you already are. Chosen one. What opens in this season is not just opportunity, but coherence. Relationships arrive without strain. Conversations flow without performance. Support appears without negotiation. These are signs that you are no longer forcing connection. You are meeting what is meant for you at the right depth. There is also a noticeable shift in how you experience provision. Instead of chasing resources, you find yourself positioned to receive them. Financial changes may come through unexpected channels, not because you earned them through effort, but because timing matured. God understands when increase will empower rather than distract. What arrives now does not destabilize you. It supports you. You may feel a calm confidence replacing urgency. This confidence does not come from certainty about outcomes, but from trust in process. You no longer need guarantees to move forward. You move because something within you recognizes the alignment. This recognition is quiet, but it is unmistakable. I have watched this unfold in my own life. The moment when striving ended and participation began, when doors opened without explanation, when help appeared without being requested. Those moments were not sudden miracles. They were the visible completion of invisible preparation. Anointed. 1. The ease you encounter now is not accidental. It is evidence that resistance has been removed, not through force, but through readiness. When you meet less friction, it is because timing has softened the path ahead. God does not remove obstacles prematurely. He dissolves them when they are no longer needed. As movement resumes, you may be surprised by how grounded you remain. Activity no longer pulls you away from yourself. Success no longer inflates or depletes you. You carry the steadiness you learned in waiting into motion. This is the gift of patience. It follows you forward. Opportunities that once felt intimidating now feel manageable. Responsibilities that once seemed heavy now feel appropriately weighted. This is not because the demands are smaller, but because your capacity has grown. God prepared you quietly so that what comes next would not overwhelm you. You might also notice a change in how others respond to you. There is less resistance, less need to convince. People sense your clarity and meet it with respect. Authority, when it is authentic, does not need to assert itself. It is recognized. Chosen one. What opens when you hold your position is not just movement, but alignment that sustains movement. You're no longer propelled by fear or comparison. You're guided by discernment and trust. This makes every step feel intentional rather than reactive. There is a sacred rhythm to this unfolding. Action follows stillness. Expression follows formation. God honors the order of growth. When you respect this rhythm, life meets you with cooperation instead of conflict. As this season continues, remain attentive without becoming anxious. Alignment does not require vigilance. It requires presence. Stay connected to what steadied you in the quiet. Let that grounding inform how you engage now. Anointed. One, you will know you are in the right place, not because everything is easy, but because nothing feels forced. Effort will still be required, but it will be clean effort, free from desperation. This is how you recognize that alignment has arrived. What opens now is meant to be lived, not rushed through. Take your time. Notice the support around you. Trust the pace that feels natural. God is not asking you to sprint. He is inviting you to walk with Him. As this chapter settles, allow gratitude to rise without needing to name it. You do not have to celebrate loudly. Quiet appreciation is enough. You are moving forward, supported, prepared, and intact. The waiting did not delay you. It positioned you. And as you step into what opens next, you do so with steadiness, clarity, and a peace that confirms you are exactly where you are meant to be. This sense of rightness will continue to guide you as circumstances evolve. When uncertainty appears again, you will recognize it not as a threat, but as an invitation to return inward. The skills you developed during stillness remain available, now shaping how you listen, choose, and respond. Alignment is not a single moment. It is a way of moving through life with awareness, humility, and trust, allowing each step to unfold in cooperation rather than resistance, supported by quiet confidence and enduring grace. And peace remains your compass. As this journey comes to rest, in a quiet place, nothing is being concluded. Something is being entrusted. What you have been sensing throughout these moments is not an ending, but a settling, a deep internal agreement forming between who you have become and what is now prepared to meet you. There is no rush here, no dramatic signal required, just recognition. You may feel a gentle invitation to remain present with yourself a little longer, to notice how your body responds to this stillness, how your breath softens when there is nothing left to figure out. This is not passivity, it is receptivity. It is the posture that allows what is real to arrive without resistance. Chosen one. The path ahead does not require you to abandon what steadied you. The patience, the listening, the restraint you learned in silence will continue to guide you. They are not tools for waiting only. They are companions for movement. Carry them forward without needing to justify them. There will be moments soon when clarity replaces uncertainty. Not all at once, but enough to take the next honest step. You will not need to force confidence. It will rise naturally from alignment. God often speaks through this quiet assurance, not as command, but as confirmation. You may notice that what once felt distant now feels accessible. Conversations shift. Opportunities approach without pressure. Resources begin to circulate differently. These changes are not rewards for endurance. They are responses to readiness. Timing recognizes maturity. Anointed. One, remember that what unfolds next does not define your worth. You are not entering a season to prove yourself. You are entering one to express what has already been formed. Let that distinction protect you from old habits of striving. As life begins to move again, stay attentive to your inner signals. Peace will guide you more reliably than excitement. Clarity will arrive before urgency. When something is meant for you, it will meet you where you are, not demand that you become someone else. There may still be moments of uncertainty. That does not mean alignment has failed. It means growth continues. Return to what anchored you before. Silence. Prayer. Honest reflection. God does not withdraw guidance once movement begins. He walks with you through it. If financial shifts occur, meet them with steadiness. Let wisdom set the pace. Increase is meant to support your life, not consume it. Receive with gratitude, steward with care, and allow generosity to remain part of your rhythm. Chosen one. If you ever feel the old urge to rush, return, pause. Not to stop yourself, but to listen. Movement born from alignment feels different. It carries a sense of permission rather than pressure. Trust that sensation. It will not mislead you. This space you are in now is safe. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where your life can meet you fully. God has been present in every quiet adjustment, every unseen strengthening, every moment you chose to stay rather than escape. As you continue forward, you do not have to walk alone. If it feels right, you may let your presence be felt here, not as obligation, but as resonance. A shared reflection, a quiet acknowledgement, or simply remaining connected can be a way of honoring what has stirred within you. There is no requirement placed on you, only an invitation to move with trust, to speak when moved, to rest when needed, and to remember that alignment is not something you achieve once, but something you return to again and again. May you carry this steadiness into whatever unfolds next. May you recognize support when it appears. May you trust the pace that feels honest. And may you remember that the same care that held you in stillness will continue to guide you in motion, gently, faithfully, and without haste. In the days ahead, allow yourself to notice the small confirmations rather than waiting for grand signs. A conversation that lands at the right moment. A sense of calm where anxiety once lived. A door opening without struggle. These are the ways alignment speaks when it is honored. You do not need to announce them or analyze them. Simply receive. There is wisdom in moving through new terrain. Let your actions be guided more by integrity than urgency. Let your choices reflect who you have become, not who you once needed to be. God values consistency far more than intensity. What is sustained grows stronger over time. If you feel drawn to share this space with others who resonate, let that sharing come from sincerity. Connection formed through recognition carries its own kind of blessing. Community does not have to be loud to be real. Sometimes it is simply knowing you are not alone in how you listen, wait, and move. As this message lingers, take from it only what feels true. Leave the rest. Alignment is personal. What fits you will settle naturally. What does not will fall away without effort. Trust that discernment. It has been trained carefully through everything you've lived. And as you go, remember this. Nothing about your journey has been wasted. Every pause shaped you, every silence taught you, every moment of restraint protected you. The path continues not as a demand, but as an unfolding. Walk it, knowing you are supported and guided forward with trust. You did not arrive here by accident, nor did you wait in vain. Every quiet choice shaped strength you could not yet see. What felt like stillness was alignment forming beneath awareness, teaching you how to trust without proof and stand without applause. Now you move forward differently, guided by calm instead of urgency. You know when to act and when to remain, because discernment has replaced fear. This is the fruit of patience, and it will continue to protect you. Carry what you learned quietly, letting peace confirm each step. Alignment continues as listen, trust, and walk without force.